What was the idea I had for the hot tub? I was like, if your marketing doesn't feel this fun, you're doing it wrong.
Yes,
As
exactly.
I'm like in my Elle Woods voice in
Right.
my head.
We look for homes that are full of like charm and like have like this cozy factor because we don't want our photos or our content to feel stale or to blend in with like every other agent.
Love you brunches. Could be him and his next
Oh, there
girlfriend.
you
And then I was like, I have a feeling the next girlfriend isn't going to want to do this.
right. How do I get more leads?
How do I stand out in my market?
Is it unprofessional to talk about my kids on Instagram?
Should I have one account or two?
Do I really need a personal brand as a real estate agent?
We are the Modern Agent Marketing Girls. We are two agents turned marketing experts who believe you can become the go-to real estate girl in your market all because you are you. I'm Chelsea Peterson, founder and CEO of Modern Agent Social Club.
And I'm Kayla Fox, Modern Agent's content creator. Let us be your guide as we talk about what it means to market your real estate business the modern way.
So refill your favorite beverage, open your notes app, and get ready to build a business and a brand you're obsessed with. Let's go. Hi, Kayla.
Hi, Chelsea. Welcome to another episode of the Marketing Girls podcast. I love your cup today. Let's talk about your drink.
Okay, so my drink, if you're watching on YouTube, is very aesthetically pleasing. I'm going to pour this in here because I actually want to drink it. So I'm drinking a Bloom sparkling energy drink. And to be honest with you, I ordered these because of the look. But they apparently also have like healthy ingredients, so hopefully it's fine. I don't like energy drinks, but it's juicy orange and it sounded like a change up from coffee. But why I order cute beverages and cute glassware constantly isn't just because I want to like set it on my counter. I use them in our photo shoots and in our Instagram stories to make our content very on brand. So you'll notice my glass purple straw, very aesthetically pleasing. Now this is going to be, oh, it's yellow. That's fine.
Looks like Mountain Dew.
I was thinking it would be orange, but
Yeah. No, it's so cute though. It's very springy. The yellow and the purple. Your purple nails.
it is.
I love
So
that.
I used this exact straw in our photo shoot yesterday for the member content, and I got some really good pictures, like stirring like an iced creamy coffee in a really cute glass. And that's kind of what we're going to talk about today is photo shoots, props, how to make your shoot not look like every other agent in a model home, but instead really bring your personal brand to life through it.
Yeah.
When to go professional versus just use your phone, because we're going to talk about that, but there's so much you can do with your phone. You don't need to spend a ton of money on professional photos necessarily. So I'm
Yeah.
so excited for this conversation, and I wanted to do it coming off of our shoot because like my brain is very fresh with everything I did yesterday and all the ideas that I have.
So for those that are listening who maybe don't know, let's kind of explain our photo shoots. So we do like kind of quarterly photo shoots. It just kind of depends how the year falls for our members. And we purposely look for homes that do not look like builder homes. That are much more like we look for homes that are full of like charm and like have like this cozy factor because we don't want our photos or our content to feel stale or to blend in with like every other agent.
yeah, we really want them to feel like home because you're selling homes, not model houses for the most part. In fact, the house we shot at yesterday, an interior designer, it was her house, Tammy O'Malley. So if you want to look her up, very Nancy Meyers vibes. And, you know, pretend you're getting your license tomorrow and you're about to hit start on your real estate career. You're going to think like, okay, I want to get some photos of me in houses with like pretty kitchens and just like, you know, kind of like check a box type things. Like I'm going to get like, what's the silly meme that's like a white BMW, business cards, whatever, like just like your starter pack as an agent.
Yeah.
But we like to think about like, okay, we don't want you to have a starter pack as an agent. We don't want to be the membership that gives you generic houses, or like if you look up house on Unsplash, for an example, that's the opposite of what we are.
Right.
So we want our photo shoots to feel very like a mix of real estate, life, home, like the comfort of home, the coziness of home. So like you're painting this picture of the lifestyle of like someone living in a house, but you're also painting the picture of like agent life. So like what it looks like when you are about to list a house, what you have in your front seat when you're going to a closing, like that type of a vibe. So we kind of are constantly collecting photo inspo. I have a Pinterest board called like quarter 3 photo shoot or like whatever the next one is, or I'll start compiling things in there for the next shoot that we're going to have. And then we can kind of look back at that and be like, okay, what's the vibe of this one? What type of location do we need? Things like that.
Yeah, I love it. So, what we'll do, first of all, I know most of our listeners listen through like Apple or Spotify. If you watch on YouTube today, we're going to try to give you a lot of visual examples. We actually don't have we have our inspiration photos. We don't have the actual photos back yet as the time of we're recording this, but as they come in, we can maybe show you on YouTube like our inspiration and then like how it turned out, so you can see a little bit of what our photos look like. But yeah, we provide these for our members because it is great for like obviously their social media, but even more than that for like their marketing material, for their website, for their emails, all of the things. And yeah, we almost try to make it look as if they came up with it themselves, because it's not something that you would find on Unsplash. And so that's like the whole like heart behind it all. So as we're having this discussion, I guess you and I are going to kind of talk about like how we go into our member photo shoots. But the whole point in having this discussion is for that our listeners can say, oh, wait, I want to do something like this for myself, whether it's with a photographer or whether it's on your iPhone or whatever. So that's kind of the heart behind the discussion today.
I will say that booking a photo shoot with a photographer will definitely give the feel of your brand this like confidence boost or this feel of professionalism. And not that ever, I don't think your entire feed should be professional photos at all, because Instagram is really about like the authenticity, like the real life. But they help make you feel like, okay, this is like a legit personal brand. Like I have these photos, they can be in my, like you can put them in your lead magnets and things like that. It's like your foundational photos. Like they can be used anywhere, especially for like if you have a website, if you have things like that, professional photos are amazing for that.
Okay, so first let's talk about, we kind of talked about the location, and the kind of places that we look for. Where do we look for these homes? Like how do we find great locations?
My brand photographer that I work with will do the work to find our options. And we're in Wisconsin, and there's honestly not a lot of options. We're driving to Illinois a lot. There are a lot more apparently designers and people with beautiful homes in Illinois. But there's this website, there's a couple websites. So our like go-to is called Home Studio List. So people like homeowners will put their house on Home Studio List, and you can rent it by the hour for a photo shoot. So a lot of times these people have beautiful homes, or they are designers in some capacity, or they just love design. Like one that we went in fact has like a pretty large Instagram following, and now I always follow her and I'm like, we need to do that house again. So we will rent these houses by the hour, which is a great option because if you can find one that kind of fits your brand vibe and style, then like it's not like you do not need as an individual agent to do these every quarter and spend a bunch of money on a house and a photographer and all this stuff. I do not think that is necessary. But if you do, like maybe one a year would be, I think, plenty sufficient. And then you can fill it in with your own photos and your own B-roll, which we're going to talk about today too. But yeah, that's where we mainly look. I have also done Airbnbs, but you want to make sure that you get permission from the Airbnb owner that you can use your photos for marketing purposes. In fact, we are renting a space that I tried to double down as both a member photo shoot and then a B-roll shoot for Kayla and I, and they said they didn't want any commercial photography. So we couldn't use it for the members' content, unfortunately. So there are lots of options out there.
Okay, so let's talk about these props, because you and I plan this out for a very long time. We put a lot of thought into this, and they are not props that I think most people would think of. For instance, yesterday, one of the props was a Trader Joe's bag, like a grocery bag. So like what is our intention behind this, and like how do we get inspiration?
We really want it to look, as I say, you're on here, me and you, we want it to look like real life. Like we don't want this to look like a completely staged photo shoot that is completely unrealistic to an agent or to a homeowner or a person. So like what are people doing in their everyday lives? And or like when you buy a new house, what does it look like? We've done things with like pizza. Like I have ordered pizza for the shoot, put it in a box and next to a bottle of champagne, as in like if you go on Pinterest and type in like moving day vibes, you will see pizza and champagne on there. That is why I always did a closing day pizza party for my clients and when I sold real estate, because it's just like that's what you picture on closing day is like you're going to order pizza, you're unloading boxes, you're like running around. It's a crazy day, and you're just gonna maybe have a couple good glasses of wine and eat
Yeah.
take out pizza, you know? So we try to bring that real life vibe into the actual photo shoot. Um, like what else do you do at home? You drink coffee, you read books, you maybe have a fire, you light a candle in the kitchen, you're cooking. Like, so what are people actually using their homes for? And we like to kind of have an element of that in our photo shoot. And that is something I 1000% would recommend that an agent does too. Because honestly, like, we're doing these shoots for agents. So you could basically take every picture that we take and be like, here's my inspo for my own photo
Yep.
shoot and go put yourself in it. At this shoot, we did a cake, which was kind of a failure. So Kayla had this vision for like, if you like, there's these cute cakes on Pinterest everywhere
Yeah.
and Instagram, and they'll say something like, I don't know, like home, or this one says 20 something, so that's not relatable, but just something that is related to home ownership or coziness or homebody
Yeah.
or
Home
whatever.
sweet home,
Home sweet
homebody.
home.
Let's
So
stay home.
actually, we went to a couple different stores. I could not find a white version of this cake. I wanted a white cake, like either in a circle or shaped like a heart. My husband ended up finding like a chocolate one that was, so it was like all brown, which was, it actually looked really cute with the house that we were in. And then I didn't have anyone to write on it. So I like got two kinds of frosting. I left, or I like the squeezable things, and I left one at home. So I said, let's photograph the cake before I write on it, because if I butcher this, now the cake is shot. But then so we got cute pictures of it and it looks good. And instead of like writing, I put a card next to it that said home sweet home ownership. So it was kind of like a moving day vibe. And then it had a little key by it. So it was like as if you just moved into your house and you have this cute little cake. That'd be a cute like swap for a pizza day thing on moving day, to do like a little cake, like you're celebrating home ownership for your clients. I love that idea too. So we have like, I'll show you, we can show YouTube a little grid of photos with labels with just our inspo. So like cell phones documenting was one of them. So like take your cell phone as if you're taking a picture of something, and then have the photographer take a picture of that.
Yeah.
I love these ones. I think they look really good because they look very behind the scenes, but they still
Yes.
are very like crisp and clear and professional looking. So we did some of those more from the lens of like through a tripod with my phone on it, as if it was like listing photo day, and you're getting a picture of like the listing photos, and like
Yeah.
your phone capturing this new listing that you have. Um, these are great too for when you don't have clients and you want to talk about your process of like, what is it like when you list a house, or what are the things you do to help your sellers prep for listing photo day, or what do you bring? These can help you kind of supplement that, like if you don't have a listing of your own, and or if you just want a beautiful listing to be able to talk about that topic, that you're not worried about like, well, okay, the houses I sold aren't like the cutest for Instagram or
Right.
for, you know, inspiration or content. You can use our photos to do stuff like this because it totally fits and makes sense. We did flowers wrapped in newspaper. So I'm thinking, again, it's listing photo day. I'm bringing fresh flowers to my listing. We're going to put them out on the counter. Maybe it's an open house. Maybe it's what, like that could go a million directions. Maybe it's just you're bringing flowers to your buyers on closing day. So they have fresh, beautiful flowers on their countertop the second they move in.
Yep.
And I wrap them in newspaper, which this is another prop idea. We had printed a modern agent newspaper that had a bunch of like headlines on it that said like home ownership and the home club and local events and like things that we've used in past photo shoots. I can't find it, but I used a different newspaper. It looked cute. Like what could an agent do if they made it a custom newspaper? Like what would be some cool things to put as like their headlines?
Yeah, well, I would definitely choose something like local, like whether you call it like your actual city name or like something like it. Like for instance, we're the Columbia City Eagles, but like I like to call us Birdtown. And so I would put like welcome to Birdtown or like Birdtown Club or whatever. And then like you can have like local photos on it. That would be really fun. And then even like coming up with like fun headlines like local woman says she's had enough and then later did more, or just something like silly like that, like things that like reflect like you and your brand or whatever. And then you could have like a real estate section on there, like a little market update or whatever too. And the thing is, like when you make those prop newspapers, the biggest thing to think about is like the actual headline and then like some of the words underneath it. You don't have to like say a whole lot other than that. I think we took like captions that we'd written before and like kind of just filled it in just so that it had words, and if there was a part that was zoomed in, it would make sense what you were reading, but it wasn't necessarily an article, obviously. But I think newspapers are super fun.
Other things you could do is like your slogan. Like if you have like a real estate slogan that you really really like or something you always say, or if you did like something unique for closing day, you could like incorporate a picture and like words from that onto your
Yeah.
newspaper, and you could use it in like you could have it on your counter by your laptop or on the front seat of your car, or you could do fun things with it, or you could even make it like where you print copies of it and you like give it to a seller, and it could be like a whole home prep guide in newspaper format. Like you could take our, for example, home seller boot camp and turn it into a newspaper
Yeah.
and like get like think about like talk about just pattern interrupt, standing out, like something out of the ordinary. Be like, here's your newspaper on.
Your Saturday morning paper. You
Yeah.
could even take the paper and you could make it like tissue paper in a box or like in a package or whatever, but have it say things. And actually, that's what I will say. Like, it is obviously cheaper to order in bulk. So, like, you could really take the time to create what you want. Another cute headline would be like calling all homegirls or something like that, and then like how all that copy in there. But then, yeah, you could like order those once, order like 500 copies of it or something, and then use it for all sorts of things.
I picture like Lake Country Mom needs a bigger closet.
Yes,
As
exactly.
a headline.
Like, so cute.
And then that could be like in the background of your photos or even on your website.
So what are like, I mean, those are all kind of like lifestyle ideas. What are some actual like real estate ideas? Like what are things they can put in their content that screams like, oh, she's a real estate agent, that you could like sprinkle in with the rest of the stuff?
So one of the things we did yesterday, I did like a tote bag and I put it on the kitchen stool, and then inside I had like my laptop in there. I had a folder in there. I had headphones, and then I slid in a lockbox. So it's like, as an agent, you're leaving your house to go to a listing appointment or to list a new house. Like, what are you literally bringing? Like, put that stuff in there. And maybe you make like one or two of the things like aesthetically pleasing, like a coffee that you bring with you, and maybe you bring coffees for the sellers and you write on them with like a permanent marker. I've done a lot like that where we'll write like home buyer or homeowner or future homeowner on the actual like Starbucks coffee cup or whatever coffee shop you get the coffee from. That can make it really fun. I've also tried to create scenes of like I did like a just sold sign on the front seat of my car, and then there was what else was on there? I think I had like my like one of these like Stanley like water bottles, and then like flowers or whatever, like just something that's kind of like closing day vibes. You could have like a stack of pizza boxes like ready to go, saying like off to a closing, or like new buyer. Think of like what are you bringing to your new buyer appointment. So if you have like a new buyer folder, if you have a lead magnet that you use with every client, or I shouldn't say lead magnet, if you have like a buyer guide, you could bring that to photograph like the cover of, or what else is real estatey? A
Even like,
keychain.
yeah, a keychain, or like even like a basket of like staging props. Like I used to always have like a basket, and I'd put like a couple of white like hand towels rolled up and a plant or something like that. Like off to photo day or whatever.
I want to do that next time for our shoot. That's cute. I also did like I didn't mean for my scissors to be on this when I was taking the background photos, but it was like I was almost preparing for like an open house. Like I had my planner out, I had my coffee, there was like the signage in the background. And so you're kind of just creating these like authentic looking sets. Like you don't want it to look so staged necessarily that it looks fake. Like that kind of almost the scissors being there made it look not staged, like my scissors are out like to cut the whatever, the railroad ties. So yeah, I think any prop like that that paints a picture of the job you're doing is going to be helpful. But then the second layer to that is, how do I make it aesthetically pleasing, or how do I make it on brand to me? And little things that do that would be like adding in the Diet Coke, or adding in a straw that's on brand to your coffee. Or if you love fun glassware like I do, maybe you're drinking it out of a really fun, cute glass. Or maybe it's just your Starbucks cup.
Yep. Colors and patterns make a big difference too. If you guys can see me on YouTube, like I always have like a Dalmatian print in my office, but like if I see like black and white things like that, or even like a leopard print, I love those. But then like adding like a splash of pink or of lavender or whatever, like that feels really on brand to me. So think about like the colors, the textures, all of those things. And then as you are out, even like, I mean, this is just it. And again, this is romanticizing real estate. But if you are out walking around a store, or if you're scrolling on Amazon or whatever, and you see like even something as simple as a notebook that is just like totally your color, like just buy it. Like you won't regret doing it. It might feel stupid at first. You'll probably use it, but then you'll also have something that you feel really good about in your photos that looks really great and that feels like you. And then when people like see that color or that pattern, I can't tell you the number of times people have seen, like, even like I had actually ended up getting a bathing suit in the same pattern because people were telling me, hey, this store has that bathing suit and it reminds me of your office wall. Like it makes you memorable.
What else that helps with is your just regular Instagram story photos, actually, though. Because if you have like a lot, another one I'll do a lot is like a lip gloss with like a pop of color. If you have something like that that you just have in your office in a basket and you want to take a behind the scenes reel to like share like behind the scenes of your day in the life or whatever, you can just pop that in there. And it's like an easy way to even take, like, let's say you have the lockbox and you have the whatever, pop this in, and now you have that splash of brand color, splash of personality, splash of something that's unique to you versus just the lockbox, just the just sold sign, you know? So like have your on brand basket of props. It could be a sticker. If you would like put a sticker on your laptop, just something that's gonna make it unique to you or set you apart. This is where color comes into clothing too, like what you said about, like, I feel like now I picture you wearing a spotted swimsuit in the hot tub at our B-roll
Like
shoot.
Cruella DeVille. Yeah, exactly.
But like having colors that you're wearing in your reels, or if you're doing like a just a B-roll shoot to get a bank of B-roll content that you can use in all of your reels for the rest of the year,
Yeah.
then maybe you're going to really be specific in what you choose to wear, and you're always going to wear a white shirt and jeans, or you're always going to wear denim, or I'm saying that because you're wearing denim and I'm looking at a picture of me wearing denim, or you're always going to wear a pop of pink, or you're
Yeah.
always going to wear stripes. Like you can pick a thing and then it makes all the content that you create look so cohesive and on brand.
Right.
And like someone's going to see that and be like, that's Chelsea. Or I think of, Mallory Irvin, she's always wearing cowboy boots, like always a different color. And she must have like her cowboy boot budget must be $500,000 because these boots she wears.
Probably a little more than my cowboy boot budget.
Yeah,
But yeah.
her cowboy boot brand is not a inexpensive brand, and she has a different pair per day. But the point is like it's not out of the ordinary to see her wearing cowboy boots. It's almost more out of the ordinary when she's not wearing cowboy boots. So like pick your thing and have that be in your content. It honestly, when you're first talking about this, if you haven't really done it, it almost maybe sounds daunting, or like I have to get like figure out an outfit to wear all the time and figure out a prop to bring. But like once you do it, it makes it so much easier because you're not trying to figure out like, oh, what should I wear in this, or what color should this be, or like even I've almost honed in like stuff I'm buying for my house or my office. It's like, well, it needs to fit my brand too.
Yeah.
Because then it makes it way easier. Have you ever heard of like doing a capsule wardrobe and how you should think about like the colors in your house, because it just makes like everything will like it'll feel like it just works better that way.
I have a story about that too, because when I started with real estate, I've always loved like black and white stripes with like pops of colors, whether it's like blue, purple, pink, whatever. But when I started with real estate, the colors that were really like trendy at that time were like that really like burnt orange color with like tans and whatever. And so I just kind of went with it. I bought a sweater that was like that, and I did a lot of like my quote unquote branding in that color. Guys, first of all, I don't like the color. I think it's ugly. And also, I don't look good in it. Like it didn't feel like me. So I remember I got like all these photos back and they were like fun, but I remember just thinking like, why am I wearing that sweater? Like that is so not me. And so then I like finally like rehashed it and like brought it back and added more like fun, bright elements to it, which felt so much more like me. So don't choose colors just because they're like in or popular. Like choose what you like. And I agree. Like with our house, I remember thinking the same thing. Like we had just moved when I got my real estate license, and so it was like, okay, like what if I'm going to be home all the time, raising these kids and trying to go my real estate business, I don't want to have to try hard. Like, I want to be able to hop on my stories and feel and look on brand and not have to be like, wait, I have to set this up or I need to go stand in this corner. Like, it needed to be easy. And so that's when I started, redid, like, I thought about the colors that I usually wear, which were like black, white, or a pop of color. And then, like, figured out a way to, like, create branding that complemented that.
What's so funny about this is when you said black and white, I love black and white. And Jessica Garvin, who I talk about all the time, I'm sorry.
She'll be on our podcast one day.
I know. She just got a puppy, and her puppy's dog bed is like my entire personality.
I know what you're talking about.
So, it is black and white. And then like her whole house is filled with pops of pink, and like it's my personality because of a dog, like through a dog bed. But when you said that, that's so funny because like, okay, you take burnt orange and you're like, wait, no, not my color at all. But when you add like pink to it, or you add the black and white in the, like, then it becomes like, okay, I can work with this. But what's really interesting is if you're not sure what that is for you, try to just lean into what you gravitate towards wearing on your own without even thinking about branding or about Instagram or about photos. Like, don't think about anything except like what you naturally want to wear or gravitate to. Because we redid our website like a while ago, and at the time I just really wanted something different because of some copying that I felt like was happening of our brand. So I'm like, I just need something so different, and I want color and I want whatever, but I didn't really know what I wanted. So what I ended up with was beautiful, but after kind of sitting with it, I was like, this just doesn't really feel like my personality at all. Like, I don't wear these colors, I don't use these colors. I would never pick a color swimsuit out of, like, seriously, it sounds kind of fluffy and ridiculous, but I would never pick a swimsuit in any of those colors. And so Kayla and I kind of were like, let's just redo this ourselves, like the look and the vibe, because I know what I like. Like, I wear pink all the time. I buy purple straws. Like, why is my brand like, again, burnt orange and this like 70s green and yellow, whatever, when like that's not at all my personality type. And it's just because I wasn't sure what I wanted. And sometimes that can happen. Like, I just want to be different. I want it to look different. And then all of a sudden you're like, wait, I have a brand that doesn't feel anything like me. When instead of you just lean into the things you like anyways, it just happens effortlessly. So now like our brand has this pop of pink and pop of purple, and it's very girly. It's very black and white. Like, and I'm like, I've never felt more at home in my brand in my entire life. And I've had a business now for like 15 years. And I've never felt this like, oh my gosh, it's so aligned with my personality. And it had to come through me just figuring that out. Like, it didn't happen on day one. It didn't happen on, I remember back to the beginning days of my membership. If you have been here forever, it was originally called Pop the Cork. And I'm sure I have some people listening that, like, shout out Christina, that were there then. But I loved the business. I loved Dry Bar. I loved their branding. I loved the pop of yellow. But like, yellow wasn't really like my color. Like, again, it was pink. Why didn't I use pink? I mean, I don't know. But I did like a pop of yellow in my whole branding. And this is where like it's evolution, right? Maybe you pick a color tomorrow that doesn't fit. And just so you know, in a matter of a couple months, you can totally change everything and no one will ever know the difference. Like, that's what we basically have done. But I picked this pop of yellow, and here I'm going to tell you what I did wrong. I looked at Dry Bar, which I thought looked good, and I thought it was fun and like playful and like had that personality pop, but it wasn't really me. I just thought it looked good. So that's where you go wrong and like kind of looking too closely at someone else or something else. And yes, Dry Bar had nothing to do with real estate marketing. So it was like, I would copy another real estate membership or another whatever. But like, it was like, I was inspired by Dry Bar. I'm like, oh, I'm going to bring that into my brand. It'll have that same fun vibe, but it just didn't feel like me. So like, again, like, ask yourself, like, is this something I would wear? Is this something I would want in my house?
I think that it takes time to, first of all, gain the confidence to be like that discerning. You know what I mean? Like, we have to, that's what I think all the time with like trends. We have to be so confident in who we are and what our brand is and what our values are and like what our vibe is, that we can look at someone else doing something trendy or something cool and think like, that's so cool. I don't need to do that, but that is so cool. You know what I mean? Like, instead of like, ooh, how can I do that too? Or like, how can I make this work for me? Like, we don't always have to do that. It's so wise and discerning to just recognize that someone did something great, but it doesn't align with who you are and what you're about, and that's completely fine. Like, you can like it and you can move on or even be inspired by it, but you don't have to like do that too.
I think of like the color pink. I think one thing that pushed me away from it is I kind of almost had this misconception that pink felt either like fluffy or too girly or like not serious enough, but
Mm-hmm.
it was really interesting how when I just chose to lean into that, that it almost made me show up better because
Oh,
I was like, this is my personality.
you
So like,
are Elle Woods after all.
yeah, I am basically Al Woods. I need another Chihuahua. Um, I just think that you'll know, like you will know if it's like the right fit as you start to use it. If it's really easy to do, it's the right fit. If it's
Right.
really hard and you're constantly feeling like this roadblock or like I remember like the other color scheme I had that was just not my vibe. I struggled so bad to try to like be in a story and or like a reel and have that color whatever
Yeah.
and like again it looked beautiful on the website it
Yes.
was like fine but it just didn't fit me and I think that's where like color can be so cool in branding because it like forces your personality out whether you want it to or not.
Right. Right. Exactly. So let's talk about what are other things they can do, whether it's like we're kind of talking more from like a product photo shoot kind of standpoint with like home vibes, but they're probably going to be in these photos. What are other things that they could do or what other tips would you give them to like make their time in the photo shoot a success?
Are we talking like professional photos
Either
for this
way, like
either?
honestly, as you're saying this, I'm thinking if I were an agent, I would rent a house and like even if it was just me and I'd probably bring my sister along and we would like take photos of each other and like use them for our businesses. So like yeah, let's just assume someone's just doing that and like keeping it real simple. How would you help them maximize their time there?
I one thing that I would do that I think is just so different and out of like unexpected a little bit, but easy is like actually use the house. So like maybe you're going to literally like pour like brew coffee and pour it from the coffee pot into your cup and you're going to record B-roll of the sound of that and you're going to get the sounds of things of like the water running in the sink or pouring a glass of wine or what other sounds can you think of that you can like incorporate?
Like the sound of like a fork on a plate or like it's a cozy sound like the sound of like food being prepped in the kitchen or wherever is like really big. I think like opening up a window like hearing someone like laughing outside, even just like music playing. I mean, again, and now we're kind of getting into b-roll, which I think we're gonna do an episode more about b-roll specifically at some point in time, but all of those like sounds and images like trigger something in us that make us think of like, oh, that reminds me of like eating at my mom's house, or that reminds me of like how I used to always do this with my kids or whatever. Candles on a coffee table and like books on a coffee. We've done like puzzles and stuff before, but like all of those things in our homes that are just like everyday moments that we like forget about, that's what like does it for people. It's almost like it almost creates nostalgia for people, you know.
I also even like eating a salad or taking a
Mm-hmm.
bite of pizza or like yesterday I like dug into the cake with my fork. Like those actual real life moments feel so much less staged and they feel more like this is just what she's
Yeah.
doing.
Like the shoes
Um
at the door. Like what we always like what host our youth group, and nothing brings me more joy than seeing like 100 pairs of shoes piled up by the door. Because it's just like that's that picture or that like image or like even people just taking their shoes off as they're walking in. What does that represent? Like that represents a home full of people who are hopefully having a really great time, and like everyone knows that feeling.
you could even do like cutting flowers and like arranging them in a vase, which would
Yes.
be great for anything like listing related or new home related. You
Mm-hmm.
could be reading a book, like a real book, like flipping through the pages, like that makes a sound.
Mm-hmm.
Setting your glass down.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure on the podcast this all sounds wonderful. But like yeah, lighting a candle, like the sound of the lighter or the
Yeah.
like the swipe of the match. And it creates more of like an experience on when you're creating content, when you
Yeah.
do things like that. And
You know
even if it
what?
is just the photo.
Yeah, you know what would be really cute? I just thought of this. How cute would like a listing video be of like person putting candles on a cake and lighting it and singing like happy birthday, and they're like bringing a cake into a room, and there's like people all around, like just like a cozy, like you see like presents by the front door, or like a bouncy house in the back, but like everyone wants that for their kid, right? Like everyone wants to throw their
Mhm.
kid like a great birthday party. Like why not show them this is what it would be like if we were in this house? Like this is how you would use the house for a party. Maybe some sellers wouldn't be crazy about having a lot of people in their house. I don't think it takes a lot, but I'm just thinking like show it being used, or even have a fire going in the backyard and like bring another couple over and like sit around the fire, laugh and roast marshmallows. Like just showing that lifestyle. Again, that's all great for like listing videos as well, but you're going to use a lot of these pictures as you're talking about listings and as you're talking about how you market homes differently.
If you think about commercials, like take North Face, for example, they're not like showing the jacket on the commercial and like flipping it around in a circle and like showing you how padded it is. Like
Yep.
it's someone wearing it while they're hiking or around a bonfire or camping or mountain climbing, or like they're showing, okay, here's how you're going to use this product in
Mm-hmm.
action. And that's what you could do with your listing, or the lifestyle of home. And it doesn't have to be like where these people's faces are in it or they're up close or like
Mm-hmm.
anything like that. It can be like holding the stick out and the marshmallows roasting, but you can see there's like three other marshmallows in the
Right.
fire, like that type of stuff, like this like zoomed in vibe. The zoomed in vibe is like another thing to, like when you're filming b-roll or you're taking a picture, it feels more in the moment or like
Yeah.
real than if you like take a picture just of like a room. Like you'll
Yes.
notice like the pictures that look like draw your eye on things like Instagram and Pinterest, they're usually more zoomed in than they are like full body, full
Yep,
room.
exactly. Everyone listening needs to send this to their photographer next time that they next time they go to do pictures of whether it's listing photos or like your like personal brand photo shoot, because I think this is all so good. I love
I
it.
do too. And like I mean, with your listings, like have a process. Like if you're going to do that for one listing, try to recreate that in maybe it's not a birthday party, but maybe you do something for the next listing. I remember this agent I followed years ago. Her name was Shannon. I can't think of her last name. Starts with an M, I believe. She had dark, like black hair and bangs, and she would do like movie themed listing videos. So she did like Stranger Things one, and she did Walking Dead, maybe. I don't know. Like that was kind of her vibe
So
for movies.
funny.
They were so fun. Shannon Gilligan. Oh my gosh, I don't know. If I find what I'm trying to
I
say,
think I
I'll
know who
link
you're
one in
talking
the show
about.
notes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but anyways, it just made it so fun to watch. Like obviously you're gonna see the house, but it just gave you a reason to watch it, even if you're like, again, I'm not looking for a house. I'm not looking for a two-story in that neighborhood, but I want to watch this. And now people are exposed to your marketing. They're exposed to
Yeah.
your brain, your creativity, your like what it's like to work with you. And it like not that you have to do any high production filming and video and all of that, because I don't think that's necessary at all. But I think that you can do things with your own phone that give that same experience or effect, or like, an ASMR of my listing. And it's
Yep.
like, I don't even know if ASMR is cool anymore. But even if you don't
Yeah.
say that and you're like letting people hear you like start the fireplace, light the candle, set the music, open and close a wine fridge as you take out a bottle of wine and set the bottle on the
Yep.
counter and pour it into the glass. All those things are like sounds of home. And if you
Yes.
can incorporate that into a photo shoot, well, now you have all these photos you can use in your Instagram content, in your social media marketing, in your stories and reels and everything, that all feel like that homey vibe. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and you could do it all in one day of like recording content in a house.
Yeah. They call it now like life without trending audio, you know?
Yes,
And so it's just
that
like
is
the
the new
sounds of it all.
ASMR.
Yes. Okay, another great tip if you're going to do this, I would say bring one or even two friends along with you. And maybe they could be agents too, and you guys could all like do this for each other. But have them record you or like take behind the scenes photos even of like what you're doing. So if you're in the photos, if you're doing like a photo shoot with a photographer or whatever, then like have them record the photographer taking pictures of you. And that way you have not only like content for your actual like real estate business and your marketing materials and all of that, but now you also have behind the scenes like personal brand photos that you can be using. So you're really like maximizing that time. And if you have like one or two friends there with you, having them take things from different angles, or having like tell one like, hey, will you do more things that are close up and will you do more things that are far away or whatever. That way they kind of have like an understanding of what you're looking for. You could walk away from like a 2-hour photo shoot with like what 15, 20 hours worth of content just from like all the different angles and all of that stuff, that a little bit would go a long way, you know?
One thing we did at our last in-person shoot is we set up a tripod and we put in like different settings that we went to. We set up my phone and put the time lapse going. And we were at the wine bar, sitting there pouring drinks at the bar, talking.
Yeah.
We were in front of the big white backdrop thing for the podcast photos. And like, it took the coolest clips because they're just very in the moment, candid, like actions. But because it was like sped up quickly, it worked really well for like little reel splices, and you could splice it up a million ways. And there was like parts where just you were in it, parts where just I was in it. So you can even do something like that, because it is hard when you're at a shoot and you're trying to get the actual professional photo content, but you're like, well, I also want to leverage this with like my own content and like B-roll and stuff like that, because that's great for like your everyday. And that's one way you can do it, is if you didn't have someone with you, and or if you had like just wanted some extra content shot, or have your friend's phone be the one in the tripod doing a couple different time lapses, and then your phone be the one that they're using to photograph you in the like background shots.
Yep. Yes, that's what is so helpful about having someone else there with you. But like, I'm just picturing, as you're saying this, I'm picturing like a super cute house where like you just go, you rent it out for like 3 hours, and you bring like a friend or two along with you to kind of help shoot some things. But can you imagine like how cute it would be to like have your friends sitting at the kitchen island and you're pouring them each a glass of wine and you're just taking like B-roll clips of this? Especially like, I mean, maybe this sounds a little far-fetched, but I just think about like, one way that you can make, or that people can make homeownership more affordable right now, is by having a roommate, especially if they're single. So like, show what that could look like. Like, imagine like coming home from work and hanging out with your best friends in your living room, and you guys are all like, you know, able to live together because you were able to buy a home. Like, this is what your nights could look like. Like, again, maybe that sounds far-fetched, but like, if we're going to be talking about these things to our people, if we're going to talk about multi-generational homes and how it can actually be a really great way for like you and your parents to save money, and like what a great experience for your kids, show that. Like, bring your parents along to the shoot and like show them like hanging out with your kid or whatever. Like, I think if we just have to be very conscious about like who we're talking to, and making sure that everything that we do in our brand like reflects that and like relates to that.
One of my really good friends actually bought a house like 2 years ago now, but she has like had a friend that wanted to just rent for now, and she has like a whole lower level, so the friend has a lower level, and she like splits her mortgage in half, and she was able to remodel her kitchen, and she was able to buy a bunch of furniture because she has someone living with her right now. Obviously she still had to singly qualify for the mortgage, but it made the payment more manageable. So like, that is something you can talk about when you're talking about like getting creative with homeownership and options and what you can do these days, like to make it affordable for people. That's a great option. Another one I love, and I don't know, this isn't really what this topic is about, but I guess through photo shoots you can share these things, is buying a duplex or something like that for your first house, and then renting out the other side, so your mortgage is like nothing, you know? Like, there are a lot of options these days, and maybe it's not like the white picket fence, like perfect starter home vision for everyone, but there's still smart ways to invest your money in real estate and be able to get to your house that you absolutely love eventually, you know? Like, that's part of real estate. No one starts out in the perfect white picket fence house. Like,
Exactly. So we have, which we've talked about some before, and we're going to go into more on B-roll and stuff at some point in time, but we do have a B-roll like checklist for agents. I don't even know how many ideas are on there. I think there's over 100. Like, there's a whole bunch. And there's a lot of like specific examples too, but you guys can download that for free. We have that in the show notes, and it will, at least, even if you're not actually taking B-roll footage, but if you're actually just like, no, I just need pictures, you can use a lot of the different angles and a lot of the different like scenes set up in the B-roll to use as inspiration for photos. So you guys can grab that, and you're already going to have, and what's cool about that is like, there's like lifestyle ones, there's like specific real estate ones, and all of that. So like, you can kind of go through and kind of pick what you're going to be showcasing and all of that. And what's cool about it too is, especially when you're in the photos, I know a lot of us feel like awkward or maybe self-conscious, but like a lot of these clips that have people in them kind of show them in like unique, flattering ways. Maybe they're sitting on a chair in a way that you wouldn't usually sit on a chair, but it actually looks really natural in the photo. So you can use that as inspiration for sure.
you can also go to modernagentsocialclub.com freebies. If you're driving right now and you're like, I don't want to remember to go find this episode in show notes, you can go modernagentsocialclub.com/freebies and it will be there. There are so many good inspiration shots in there, and kind of also thinking about like what to pair things with. Like I was looking at my prop list from yesterday, and like one of the things was bottle of wine on top of a buyer or seller guide with a cute bag or purse next to it, or you could do lip gloss or something. So kind of like, again, pairing together the real estate thing with the personal thing with the like, just it's a behind the scenes. Like if you think about your kitchen counter as you head out for a showing, maybe it's also filled with dishes and other things, but like if you just snapshot that like corner with your stuff, like think about like what those things might include, or like the front seat of your car. Like we had like a bouquet of flowers, coffees in the cup holders, lockbox in the cup holder, a podcast on the screen. Like you could do a lot of cute things like that. Like if you're always listening to a specific podcast and you talk about it in your stories all the time, get it in your photo shoot. Or even like it could be like you on your phone and they take the picture from behind and you're like listening to that podcast and you have AirPods in or whatever. Yeah, there's just I love photo shoots. I like have a love-hate relationship with them. They are a lot of work. They're a lot of mental energy, like just you're like constantly thinking like, what do I need next? How do I get all these props in? How do I blah blah blah? And some things that really help with that are building that Pinterest board, so you have like a bunch of inspo, and you can even like some of the things that we share in the B-roll guide, you could put on your own Pinterest board, like upload it to your Pinterest board and you have it right there. But then share that with your photographer before you go. Or if you're going to take a friend with you, like show them like exactly what you want. Like yesterday I pulled up the like vision board I had and I showed my photographer in the moment, like, here's what I want for this shot. Like I want it like this. And that they just understand then like, okay, I get it. Like let's set it up here, and they know how to do the lighting and all the fancy things. So you don't have to worry about it, but that helps everyone involved make sure you're getting the content you want.
Yeah, absolutely.
Something fun that we could talk about that might be inspiring to someone else is we rented a house to do just a B-roll shoot. There is no professional photographer coming. So we're going to show you not only how we use like every single one of our B-roll inspos from our guide, but how we can take that content and use it all year long. And we didn't even need a professional photo shoot.
I'm really excited about this. We literally have a house for like a day and a half ish. And it's kind of halfway between us. So we're going to meet there. And literally, like, there's no clowning around. We're going to get our cameras out, our phones out as soon as we get there and start recording. And we've even talked about, like, you know, we could also go to like a local coffee shop or something else that's around there too. That you have like a big variety of places and whatnot. But I think that's the one thing I would really say is when you go to do this, first of all, I would look for a house that has a lot of windows, so there is a lot of natural light, because even if the house isn't great, that lighting is going to make a big difference. But then also like look for a place that has a lot of different like rooms and settings. One thing that we have noticed in our photo shoots, we'll look at these homes on like home studio list and be like, oh, this is so cool, or I love that bathroom, or I love that bedroom. We've just kind of learned we don't really use those photos. Like, unless there's maybe like for a bathroom, if there's maybe like a tray with like wine and a book or whatever by the bathtub, like that's one thing. But like for the most part, like unless you're selling a house and that's the bedroom, there's not really a whole lot of reasons to have a picture of the bedroom. So you can kind of take that advice and run with it as you will. But we've just learned like we tend to gravitate towards the spaces that are more like shared common spaces, whether it's like living, kitchen, maybe the porch or whatever. But a lot of it is like just those central locations, not necessarily a place where you'd be off by yourself.
I kind of look for the kitchen, because the kitchen's a great spot. Like, does it have a good backsplash? You're gonna have a lot of opportunities for different angles and shots that way. The countertop, like what does the countertop look like? I've seen a few kitchens that are like navy blue and they look cool, but I'm like, that's a very, very specific color. Like now if that went with my brand and my brand was very like nautical, or like I did a lot of lake homes, that could be perfect for you. For me, doesn't go. So I wouldn't choose that house, even though it was pretty. Another thing I look for is texture. So like I want like a wood coffee table or a wood dining table or something that's going to give me a good backdrop behind maybe that lead magnet that I want to picture with, or of my wine glass sitting on top of it with my book, or, you know, you want like different texture spots. So it's not like I need this ginormous, amazing house. It's more like, what are the backgrounds of these rooms? Like the one that we rented, I know has like shiplap. They have a good backsplash in the kitchen. They have a really cool kitchen island that's like wood. they I think have a black and white tile floor
Yeah.
in part of it, which is like perfect. So I'm looking for those, the colors, the textures, the like, does this fit? And you don't need to do a different, even we even talked about like maybe we'll rent the same house every time
Yeah.
and get new B-roll, because if it fits our brand and it has a lot of like options and opportunity, like why look for a new one? So it's not even that you need a new house, or like, you always need something different, but you find the ones that are really fitting.
Mm-hmm.
And that can just totally help. You'll like get in there and be like, there's so much that I can do in here.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
There's so many cool things at the house we're renting that, I mean, there's like a hot tub and there's a fire pit and there's like all these things. And we're like, we could do like Legally
Yeah.
Blonde, her audition for Harvard video in
Yes.
the hot tub. I'm totally joking, but
I'm not.
oh, okay.
Yes, no, for sure. It'll be really good. And what's cool about that too, when you have a space that works well, yes, we want to bring like props and stuff that like accommodate that, but also like we know the intention behind it. So for like you and I, for example, for that shoot, our goal is to show like a lot of images of us like working together because we are states apart. Like that is hard to get those clips. So we want to have a lot of like those. We're going to have like our laptops out, our phones out a lot. But then we also want things to feel like homey and cozy so that our content is clearly for agents, right? And so like we talked about doing a lot of the things that we just mentioned in this episode that are right there. Another scene that I really want to do that I am like so excited about is I love, like, you think about all of like the get ready with me style of content that's out there, and a lot of times they show like their bathroom sink and all the makeup and stuff around it. But I thought, like, for me, when I get ready in the morning, I usually have all that makeup around my sink, but then I also have like a podcast playing on my phone, or like or like an audiobook or something out that I'm like, or like get your listing or like whatever's out that's like you can tie in a little bit of real estate, and it probably is going to make every realtor be like, oh my gosh, that was like my sink this morning.
Yes, 100%. I didn't even think of like my getting ready area or scene. That would be so cute. Or like even wearing a robe, or
Yeah.
um what was the idea I had for the hot tub? I was like, if your marketing doesn't feel this fun, you're doing it wrong.
Yes, exactly.
As I'm like in my Elle Woods voice in
Right.
my head.
What, like it's hard?
Yeah.
Yes, I love it. No,
I will try really hard not to bring Southern Charm into that photo shoot, because that's like, I swear I'm not making it part of my brand, but it's very in my brand right now.
that's so funny.
I
No,
know.
we'll document a lot of that so that we can like show behind the scenes of that. And of course, we're going to be using these clips all the time, so hopefully you don't get sick of them.
Another idea you had was to print out, did you say this before we started or during? Print out the actual photos we want to take, or like inspiration, so that we're not like looking at our phone to find it constantly. Like just have them like right there, like in a binder or something. Like
Yes.
go old school, like make it as easy on yourself as you possibly can, and you'll have a lot more fun with it. And then like one thing we didn't talk about really at all, we kind of did, about like what to wear, but like how many outfit changes should you have? Like what, like obviously wearing something on brand, we talked about that, but like what about like style of clothes? Like should you wear a suit? Should you dress like business casual? Should you dress regular? Like, I mean, like what do you
Mm-hmm.
wear in a photo shoot?
I mean, it totally depends on your vibe, right? Like there are some agents that I see them and they're so cute, like these really really cute, like well, I don't even know what you'd call them, like kind of like a two-piece suit thing, but like they're super feminine or have like a fun little like cut or whatever. You can tell I know a lot about fashion, by the way. But for me, like I'm like those are super cute. That's not really my style. However, I will say this: you have to remember, like, what do they say? They always say like when you are in a photo, like you lose like 10 or 15% or whatever of like the amount of makeup that you're in or whatever. They actually say in like video you lose like 30% of like the energy that you bring. So like it's easy to totally be yourself in a video, but then to look back at it and be like, I look like I'm really bored, when like in real life you're not. And so actually like wear a little bit more makeup and like do your hair a little bit more like full or however you want to style your hair. But then also maybe elevate your outfit just a little bit. Like I don't think that you have to dress up. I personally love photos where it's like plain white t-shirt and jeans, barefoot, like just being yourself at home. I love that. But I would also make sure like I add a little bit of jewelry, or I add like rings, or do my hair cute or whatever, just to like bring it up just a little bit of a notch. That way your photos aren't like falling flat.
Wear jewelry, like
Yeah.
wear earrings or like draw attention like to your face, like not in an overpowering way, but like even in this podcast, sometimes I feel like I have a lot of makeup on and then I'm like, looks like I have no makeup on in this. Like it just looks, I look so washed out. Maybe we need to talk to Riverside about like some filters.
Yes, I would love that.
But just like, yeah, you definitely need to go a little harder than you would normally. And like I say, dress how you would dress when you meet a regular client, and then do a couple where you're kind of just dressed like you would at home. Like maybe you're not wearing pajamas, but like I love the jeans and a white t-shirt, barefoot, like that kind of a vibe, like just your mom life vibe or your after hours vibe or your, you know, like little things like that. But like like wearing the robe could be like kind of fun with like getting coffee and like your morning routine. Like have fun with it. Like don't treat it stiff and robotic or it will look stiff and robotic. Treat it like your brand. If you like love cheeseburgers and you do like a weekly where to get a cheeseburger in your city, like bring a cheeseburger into it. I don't know, like we were with Mark's family and his cousin's friend. He said him and his ex-girlfriend had an Instagram account called Nacho Average Couple, and did I share this already?
No, but I
Okay.
love this.
They documented every time they would go out to eat, they would get nachos. So their goal was to try like nachos every single place they went, and they would rate them. And they had all these like crazy nachos. They unfortunately broke up 6 years ago, but the account is still there, I believe. And he told me about this, and I was like, I'm going to tell my members this. That is such a good idea. Like pick a thing and like have that be your thing when you go out to eat, or like, I know for some people it could be like even a home feature. Like I'm looking for the coziest reading nook, or I'm looking for the best outdoor area. And like, so if you rent a house, like make sure it has that thing of yours that you can get your own photos in and kind of like play that up a little bit.
Yeah. That's so fun. I love that.
Yeah.
It's a real shame they're not together anymore.
I know. And so then I was like, let's do like a brunch one.
Oh yeah.
Like, what was the brunch? Love You Brunches. Could be him and his next girlfriend.
Okay.
And then I was like, I have a feeling the next girlfriend isn't going to want to do this.
Right. That's so funny. I love it so much. Well, I hope that this conversation kind of gets the wheels spinning. Again, you don't have to hire a professional photographer. We love professional photographers. We love videographers. We love all the things, but it's amazing what you can do with your iPhone. And especially if you have like direction. So get the B-roll guide, go through Pinterest, print off pictures, all the things. And the next time that you go into a day, even if it's just like, you know what, every other month I want to spend an hour doing this. You don't have to rent a house. You don't have to do all those things, but like pick a few things that work well for you and that like would give you the content that you're looking for. And then like the more prepared you are, the less you're going to waste time. And then you're going to end up walking away with so much content, and you'll have like the confidence to show up and the reasons to show up and all of those things.
You can honestly start this in your own house. I mean, I talked a lot about zoomed in photos too. You do not need to rent a whole house. If like you're like, I just started this, or business is slow and I need this, but I can't do that right now. Like there is like DM me and it's a no excuse club. I will give you an option. Don't underestimate what you have right in front of you before you ever even think about needing to spend money to do this. It will like, don't wait for this to show up. Do this and start showing up.
Yeah. That's such good advice. Hopefully this was helpful. And of course, DM us and let us know if this was. And if you have like more podcast episode ideas and all of that, we love hearing from you. We actually get quite a few messages from all of you each week that we're like always slacking each other back and forth because it just makes us really happy. So we love hearing from you. This podcast is all for you. So keep letting us know what's working and what's not.
Yeah, the messages definitely keep us going. And I have to share, now that the episode is over, this drink kind of did taste like Mountain Dew.
Did it really?
Yeah, it's juicy orange, but it kind of has like a Mountain Dew vibe. Maybe because you said that. Who knows? Placebo effect. But it was good. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your messages. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing the podcast with your real estate friends. We so appreciate and love every single one of you. So we will see you next Tuesday.
Bye.
I'm so glad we got to hang out today. If you're as sad as I am that our time is up, I've got good news. There are a couple of different ways we can keep the conversation going.
First, follow us on Instagram at Modern Agent Marketing Girls and introduce yourself in the DMs. Also, we always have a free Modern Agent resource available, so check out today's show notes for the goods.
And finally, hang out with other go-to real estate girls like you and finally create a marketing plan that works when you join Modern Agent Social Club. All the details are in today's notes.
XOXO, the Marketing Girls.